Welcome to the Arena Sports Show, where stories that are heavily influenced in sports are major. My name is Clauiee Grace Mpanza, and in today's lineup, joining us in studio, it's only legends. We'll start off with a voice that is respected in football journalism, Sazi Hadebe, who is a veteran known for the stellar work that he's been doing. And then we shift gears. We're bringing, of course, Franco Deater, who is a local legend here in motorsport. And we do know that one thing about Franco is that his name is synonymous with the speed and, of course, simply legendary on track. And then we do, of course, know that my favorite influencer, always riding shotgun with me, Mahlatse Mphahlele. Influencer, how are you doing? A lot has been happening in the world of sports.
Yeah, good. Nice to be here.
Yeah.
We're speaking of, I'm challenging him for a spin. I want to see how it goes.
You drive 80 on the road. You can't be challenging a legend like Franco.
I want him at Kalami. Let's go.
Franco, what do you say?
Me there.
Impossible. But I mean, Franco, 40 years of racing and you are still madly in love with it. How do you keep that fire burning?
Clauiee, it's actually a drug.
Yeah.
You know, once you're on it, you can't get off it. So motor racing is exactly the same. So once the adrenaline is running in your blood, you know, if you walk into my workshop and I'm thinking, how fast can I make this car go? You know,
Yeah.
so it's in the blood. You just can't get rid of it at the end of the day.
80 kilometers per hour, you think you can challenge that?
He can. A few days with me, he will.
You can train him.
Well, you know, I think I'm fitter, I'm sharper. I think I can push, yeah?
You're ready to go?
I'm ready to go.
Well, as you can tell, my panel is ready. But on that note, let's first start by finding out what's in your top stories.
Kaizer Chiefs and Orlando Pirates will go at it again when they meet in the hugely anticipated Nedbank Cup final at Moses Mabhida Stadium in Durban on Saturday. Mamelodi Sundowns coach Miguel Cardoso has called for cool heads as they edge closer to a record-extending 8th league title following their 2-0 win over Cape Town City at the weekend. Proteas fast bowler Kaizer Rivera is free to play cricket again after he served a 1-month suspension for failing a drug test during the SA20 earlier in the year.
Certainly a lot, but the most shocking one, influencer, that being of Kaizer Rivera. When I saw the news, I was like, what? How? Not KG.
Yeah, the strange thing about it is that when the news started coming through on Saturday afternoon,
Yeah.
I was at FNB, and guess who was sitting next door to the commentary booth next to us was my Kantini.
Oh, another legend.
So I took the message to him and said, hey, look what has happened here. He was as shocked as everybody. Yeah, it came as a shock. Obviously, a while back, there was news that he had to leave the IPL in India to come back.
Yeah.
At that time, it was said that he was dealing with personal issues, and it turned out that this is what had happened. And, you know, as from the time that it was found out up to now, obviously the 1-month ban is gone by. I'm just not sure if we'll go back to the IPL or what, to continue playing there. And obviously him not being there now, it turns out that he has quite lost a bit of money, from his contract with his club in the IPL. So if he goes back, probably he may be able to salvage something. But it's a sad situation. Obviously, we don't know what type of drug it is. Maybe marijuana or something, or whatever it is.
Drug is a drug.
And I think this must be a lesson to younger athletes out there that if you are a professional, you can be found on the wrong side of these things. It's just not good for the image of himself and also for the image of cricket. It was a bad one.
No, it definitely was. I mean, Franco, you were touching on about how earlier on how our motorsport as well is like a drug. But I mean, now we're talking about substance abuse. Talk to us about, from a motorsport perspective, you know, in terms of the illegalities that youngsters may get into.
Well, there's been a few cases where we do the drug tests after the race or after qualifying or something like that. They do go for a drug test. It should be more often, but they don't do it that often. But when they do it and you do get caught, you actually get banned. And that's the end of the line for your motor racing. So it's not really worth it, you know. So it's a bad thing for any sport. I mean, I've done many other sports as well at the top of the top of the league, and I've never taken any drugs. And you get the parents, and in certain sports where I've seen it, where they give the youngsters their own kids drugs to perform. And I've been a judge of some of the things where you have to tell the poor kid, you've been banned, you can't come back to swim or karate or whatever. Yeah, it's a bad thing. So taking drugs for any kind of sport, it's a no-no for me.
Yeah, there was an expose some years back about schoolboy rugby.
Yeah.
Because schoolboy rugby is quite big stuff. The big rugby schools spend a lot of effort in terms of recruiting the best talent. And there's always that thing of saying, which school is going to produce the next Springbok, So there's a lot of pressure there from the schools, sometimes also from the parents.
100%.
You found that kids are put under a lot of pressure sometimes to take these performance-enhancing drugs so that they can progress and,
try and go up, but it doesn't
go
work
up
that way.
and go to when you finish matric, you immediately go into contact with the union. So it's something which is not good. I mean, cycling is another sport which has been for many, many years dogged by these kinds of things. And hopefully, as we go along, things can be tightened up so that when we watch people competing there, we know that what we are seeing is strength versus strength, and unlike people having taken this which they're not supposed to take.
Look, MSA is actually very strict on it. If they catch you, they actually ban you. In motor racing.
Which is really, really good. We're going to move on from the drug chat, and we go to Star of the Week. Influencer who has impressed you?
Yeah, this is another sport which is also a sport.
I thought I was moving away from it.
You've just brought me back in there. I'll go with athletics. I think Mahlatse Mphahlele. He won in China over the weekend. I think he's doing very well now in the Diamond League. I just hope that he can sort of maintain the pace leading up to the next Olympics to finally win a major, an Olympic
he deserves
medal. He deserves it. He's been a good ambassador for the sport for the country. So I'll go with Mahlatse Mphahlele.
I'm impressed how Franco knows absolutely everybody right now. I'm like, in our 3-hour chat, none of these other sporting codes came out.
No, I did the athletics in my life as well, so I like to see where the guys do, especially the 100 and 200 meter. I keep record of those things because that's what I used to do for cutting many years ago, and that for school as well. So. So that's why I know, and I would you did a 998
or something like
that.
Something
like that. Yeah, I was watching that.
I'm impressed. Anyway, who's your star of the week, Franco?
I can bear this motorsport.
I would. In motorsport, I would give it to Pires this weekend. I mean, the Samola Hill climb. It's one of the most difficult races that you can do because it's you in the hill, and that man just pulled it out of the hat of doing a 37 dead. Up that hill. I give it to him as sportsman of the day or of the year, basically, because it's an incredible achievement to do that sort of times up that hill.
Yeah, no, 100%. Mine is also in motorsport, but Formula One. Oscar Piastri, he's been absolutely phenomenal. I mean, 3 wins in a row, hasn't been done for McLaren in a very long time. So he's been superb. And going against Lando Norris, who's been at McLaren. What do you think of Oscar?
I think he's below the radar, but put in achievements that everybody didn't expect it from him, but he's there. He's shown his true colours. And there's still more to come. I think so. And I think poor Norris is trying so hard to keep up. He's a good driver, but I think that Piastri just under the radar and achieving what most acts haven't achieved.
Talk to us about natural talent, because I think that's also what I'm seeing from the difference between the two.
Yeah, you're born with it, or you've got it, you haven't got it. Look, to be in Formula One, you've got to be at the peak of any motorsport, okay? But then you get the Verstappens, the Schumachers, the Piastri. There's 1 or 2 other guys that have got that edge on everybody. And to have that edge, you've actually got to be born with it. I don't believe you know, you can be average, but to get that little bit higher, you got to be born with it. You just don't get it, you know.
So that
So
means you're
there's
going
no
to be
chance for
average. Yeah.
It's good, you know. You can in any sport you can be good at it, but to be above average, it's you know, you can put all the effort that you want, and you can never get there. And some guys have just got it.
Yeah, no.
That's true.
Let's shine light on you now. 40 years journey, how it all started, and light on all of us.
It's been a long journey for me, you know, 40 years. But it started, you know, we came from a poor family, and, you know, we also lived in a small house and whatever. And Dad used to say to me, go cut the grass and do whatever things. And, you know, I was just a little bit sharper than that. I mean, cut the grass. We used to have a push lawnmower that we used to cut the grass, and I used to get tired of cutting grass like that. So people next door threw their lawnmower away. This is how it actually started with me. And I fixed the lawnmower that they threw away. They couldn't fix it, but I fixed it. And I modified it so it could cut grass more than normal.
Yeah.
And then I realized I've got a little thing in here, fixing cars, fixing lawnmowers, and then when we got to Standard 8 and that, in our days, there was the yummy 50 motorbikes, 50cc motorbikes. And the guy would buy Suzuki, the other guy would buy a Yummy, the other guy would buy a Honda. And the guys that have problems with their bikes bring it to me, and I used to play with it and modify it and get it going faster. And so the bug bit, making things go faster, making cars go faster. So then I started fixing cars, and I was the only guy in Standard 8 that actually owned a car.
Sure.
A little Fiat 128 those days. I mean, and rebuilt the engine, and that's how it started off with me. And I liked speed. And I don't think you guys know a car called a Rambler Hornet. It was a 6-cylinder. You got a 6-cylinder and 8-cylinder. And I used to steal my dad's car, and drive around the blocks at night, you know. But I was crazy because, I mean, it was a big engine, big car, fast car, and I used to take it and drive it around. And then when the old man used to go to work in the morning, he had no petrol. So that's how and that's how it started off. And then I built my first car when I was in Standard 9 or matric those days.
That's grade 12, by the way.
Yeah, grade 12.
Yeah, when you said matric, I
I
knew.
knew what it was. Yeah, it's confusing because we had standards and this is grades. Yeah, so I was in matric and I built my first car, and I went racing, and it was an Alpha, and I raced it for about 6 months. Okay, modifying the car, getting it to go, and friends of mine, when they saw the car really going, they bought the car from me. You know, they wanted that car because I made it go fast, and nobody knew how or what I had done to the car. And then I built another car, and I raced that car for precisely one race at Swartkorps.
Sure.
Okay, and another guy came up to me and said, I want that car. And he bought that car at the track. So I built the third car, and it became the fastest Alpha basically in the world. Okay,
Sure.
and I've still got that Alpha. Guys are wanting to buy it. They've offered me serious money for it, but I've never, ever sold it. That was pride and joy to me. It broke every lap record, broke every circuit lap record.
Yeah.
It holds 400-meter records. It's just incredible, and I've never ever sold that car. And then
This
it
is the
became
Alpha-
boring.
Sorry, Franco, is this the Alpha that beats the Lamborghinis and the
No,
Porsche?
this is another car.
Okay, so that one is still coming.
That one's still coming. Yeah.
Sure.
So what happened with this Alpha? It was an Alpha GTV. The guys didn't want to race me anymore. So it actually became boring. You know, you run by yourself, and you know I don't like racing by myself.
Yeah.
So it became boring for me to race. So eventually I decided to go the next step up. That was regional racing that I used to do. We won the championship about 3 times in a row with a car, and then I decided this is, you know, the guys, I wouldn't enter the race because the other guys wouldn't enter. If I had entered, then they wouldn't enter. So I would leave my entry until last to let everybody enter so that we could get a good field of cars to come. And then, but it was unfair to the other guys. So eventually I went and bought a V8. It was called Westbank V8s. I bought a V8 and I went racing with the big boys, with Sarel van der Merwe, Ben Morgenrud, Willie Hedburn, and I had to start at the bottom of the league. Okay, now I'm a hero in one category, but I'm at the bottom of the league on the other, and still, you know, money was a problem because I mean now we're in a different league, you're in a different national series, and you need to get up with the boys, and you know it took me about 10 years to actually get in top 3 of racing. But once I got into that league, okay, and beating the guys, from 2010, the cards actually changed around, where I became the guy with the target on my back. And from then, I have finished from 2010 until last year or the year before that, because last year I did hardly any racing. I finished in the top 3. So I won nationals twice in a row. And then I decided to build something else. And then that's where the Alpha GT came in, that I wanted to go and race with the extreme supercars, okay, with the Ferraris and Lambos and Porsches and whatever. And money again, you know, so I didn't have money to go, and I still don't have money to go and buy a brand new car. So I built my own car. So all these cars that I've got is actually built. I've actually built them to go motor racing. So I built the Alpha, and there were certain oaks that actually laughed at me. You know, they say, how do you compete against my Lambo or Ferrari or Porsche or whatever? So I said, well, we'll see. So the first race that came, I was right at the back of the grid. The second race came, I was halfway through the grid. The third race came, I was on pole.
Goodness gracious.
Okay, and then they nicely told me to take my car and move on. So, yeah, they don't want a privateer or a local built car from Benoni to come and beat the works cars. So, and I wasn't going to fight with it, and I wasn't going to. I'm too old for that. So I actually parked it off. And now I've decided, well, I decided last year already that I would build that car to do the hill climb. Okay. And I've recut it up and made it lighter and whatever. And it will be. I should have gone to the hill climb now, but of course the other car came up, the Mustang for the endurance series came up. So all my intentions and all my effort was into that car. So I forgot about the Alpha. So. Yeah, so now we were racing endurance racing.
All right, and influencer, I showed you the Mustang.
Yes.
She's an absolute beauty. I got to see her for the first time in PE.
Yeah.
Talk to us about building a car like that.
And how do you make it fast?
Okay, first of all, that Mustang is actually built in Australia. It's a V8 supercar. It's RSI racing international car. It was built by a South African, a guy called Paul. Don't ask me to pronounce his surname, but a guy called Paul in Australia, he builds those cars, V8 supercars. He builds the chassis and that, and he gets somebody else to build the engine, and he puts the whole package together. So those cars are FIA approved. So the car is not of our standard, but higher standard. So they compete against the Lambos and Ferraris. So, but it's the cost of it is a third of the price of a Lambo or a Ferrari. To modify those cars is the engine, is the package is actually the whole thing. The body work outside is not, it's normal, but the chassis is what really helps it from flexing, what we call flexing the car. The engine is modified to its maximum performance, and then we just dial it back a little bit so that it lasts for 5 hours or 6 hours. So, but you can go crazy. You can go and make it so much horsepower, but the more horsepower you make, the least it will run. I mean, it's like stretching elastic band. It'll stretch, and then it'll snap. And that's exactly the same as an engine. So, the car was built in Australia, and it was brought here to South Africa. And I mean, we tried and keep it quiet, and then when we launched it, we were going to race it at Swartkops for the first race, and then the car arrived too late. It was sitting at the port, and we couldn't get it out of it. So the car was 2 weeks too late. So that's why we only entered it for PE. And we were surprised that the car actually ran without missing one beat. We made plenty of mistakes, as you saw. But I mean, we're all learning. It's a brand new car, so we were all learning. But hopefully we're more prepared for Cape Town.
Talk to us about the technology, because I think that's the other thing that's special about this Mustang. And I mean, you having driven so many different cars and now having to also understand the tech involved in this one.
Yeah, Clauiee, look, I've been driving Westbank V8s for 28 years, and everything is, you got a lever changing gears, you got pedals with no brake boosters, no ABS, no traction control. It's got nothing. It's got no electronics in it. The only electronics it's got is the MSD system supplying the spark to the engine. That's it. It's got no assistance. So for 28 years, I've been racing something that what we call dinosaurs, because you got to stand on the pedal and there's no brake assistance to it. It's just hard braking. Changing gears, you got to actually change the physical gear. You got to change it, like your old cars where you had actually a pattern. And this is how these cars were built, and they were the fastest cars in the world those days. So now the new technology has come into the play, where this car, everything is aided. You got paddles that actually change the gears. Okay, so many a times I actually still go for the gears, looking for a gear to change.
You forgot that everything is here.
And it's all so it's a mindset for me to change. So for the youngsters that play PlayStations all day, it's easier for them, you know. The most difficult thing was for me for the car, and I got used to it, was the brakes. Okay. Where we start braking at 250 k's an hour, we start braking at about between 150 and 120 meter mark. This car can stop at 70 meter mark, but you've got to press the brake pedal at 100 bar. Okay, I mean, these two legs together don't press that brake pedal at 100 bar, but that's where they want us to press it at. Okay, now let me tell you that Formula One presses the brake pedal at 160 bar. Okay, so it's guys that do weights and press. You'll understand how hard it is to press the brake pedal. So that's one of the aspects. The other aspects is we like hanging our car. Our V8s, if you don't hang the car, in other words, we drift the car through the corners. Okay, this car doesn't like that. You got to load the front wheels, turn it in, and the computer in the car actually helps you drive the car around the corner, helps you accelerate, helps you not wheel spin. I'm not used to all this, but it's a learning curve for me as well. After 40 years of racing old cars, that's a learning curve for me as well. It's like technology helping you drive. It's like now all your cars that you drive, most of them come out automatic, So it's exactly the same. So you can't get it to go sideways. You can't wheel spin it. You can't. And I just want to do all those things,
That time is gone.
And they doesn't want to give it to me. But it's a good learning curve. But we've got it. I mean, you saw how we drove.
No, you're blistering quick, so clearly you've adapted. But we ran out of time, Franco, which is quite unfortunate because it feels like we just started talking. Talk to us about now, Franco Deater Racing and really the sponsors that back you and really where you see yourself for the rest of the year, what competitions you'll be entering.
Clauiee, I still do the Westbank V8s, the V8 Supercars, Dunlop V8 Supercars. I'm on and off with that. I'm not doing it seriously. We have achieved what I have achieved with that motorsport. My fellow competitor that races with me in the SAES, Julian, we made him win the two championships in the V8s as well. So we've gone.
He trained Julian, by the way. He's forgetting to mention that part.
I've done all what I had to do in all my motor racing. So, it's hard for me to keep up with the youngsters. So I've taken youngsters and made champions, and it gives me more achievement. I actually enjoy things like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, we will be racing SAS for the rest of the year. The three of us, myself, Romano, and Julian. But in between, I'll be doing other form of racing. So the Dunlop V8 Supercars, I'll be doing that next weekend.
Nice.
I just need more time in the car and racing. I've got all these cars, and I only race once every 2 months, and I mean I can't handle it. So I'm back into it, back into the V8s. And then I've also got a little golf that I go racing in regional racing. So I keep myself busy as much as, because it's like anything. You play golf and you don't go and practice, you lose the touch.
Yeah.
And motor racing is exactly the same. If you're not in it virtually every second week or so, or go practice, you actually lose that sharpness, what we call it. So yeah, and I'll race as long as I can race. I mean, it's in my blood.
Yeah.
And if I can't race, I'll run some team or something like I've done before. So yeah.
And you'll teach him how to drive while you're at
I
it.
think we'll release a statement as to when I'm taking you on.
You want to shake on that?
Looking forward
Can
to
I use your helmet?
Yeah, you can use my helmet.
I don't have equipment.
Do you want his race suit as well?
We've got all that.
But Franco, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate. I wish we had more time, but I guess we'll have to do that motorsport podcast that you're planning to produce.
I think let's come up with a motorsport podcast. I don't think there's anyone in the country.
Yeah, let's do
I think
it.
it can do well. There's a lot of stories to be told there. I mean,
Why not?
We've just pressed the surface on this thing. I think we can do it. I think it's doable.
Yeah, do it.
I'll produce it, you presenting, and then co-presenting.
And it's done.
Voila.
The magic
Let's
is
do
done.
it.
We'll be talking for 5 hours at this
Well,
rate.
I don't know about 5 hours, but I think it's a good idea. Let's do it.
All right, cool. That's how we wrap up the motorsport segment. Now, on the flip side, we chat all things football. So it's a derby coming up in the Nedbank Cup final. Well, when we speak about veterans, and of course another legend in football journalism is Sazi Hadebe. Sazi, I mean, I've heard so much about you. I think your name has been mentioned 20 times in my weekly conversations with Mahlatse here.
Oh.
How is it working together? Like, I'm actually quite interested.
It's quite interesting. He sits in front of me.
Yeah.
So it's him. So I'm here. And then Max Stradum sits here. And then David Hazardson sits in front of me.
Yeah.
And then Sazi is more on my left. And, I'm on his right. So that's our corner in the office. Yeah, lots of experienced guys in that department. And then on my side, on his side, on their left, is Liam Delcam. So quite a balanced team. Yeah.
I love how we're getting the sitting arrangement when it comes to the stories and who wants to do what. And I mean, so it's a derby coming up. Everybody wants to cover the derby between the veterans. How does that go?
He took the final for me from Durban. Now I'm not happy about that.
Yeah, no, but I don't consider myself a legend. Not that I'm underplaying myself or anything. I personally feel we dish this legendary status too easily, especially when it comes to sport. Maybe after 10 years or so, if I'm still doing what I'm doing, and people still consume what I'm doing and they are happy, maybe.
He never throws the legendary status loosely. So when he says that to me, I take it.
No,
So you think he's being biased?
it's just joking.
Oh, he's joking.
Not really that he means it.
Yeah, just to add to what Makrukul is saying, I think there's a group of us as a sports journalists. We loosely call each other legend, but we don't mean it in a true sense of the word. It's just how we address each other. But I think we are. I agree. We were far away from it. I mean,
You also don't think you're a legend?
Nah,
Goodness
nah.
gracious.
There's no way. You'll need to address people like Abu Thomas Kwenente, Sai Lehman, Billy Cooper, you know, that era. Those are the people who...
Oh, my first time I went to the PSL Awards, guess who I was sitting next to?
Yeah.
Billy Cooper.
You know, so yeah, that's
That's a proper one.
that's a legend in the true sense of the way. Those are the people who paved the way for us to be where we are now. So yeah, when we call each other legends in the press conference, it's just a fun way of addressing each other, but we don't really mean it that way. We
So you
can't.
guys don't think I'm legendary? Okay, cool. Noted, corrected. We'll take it.
We're not like these players who played one game and then they're called legends. It's not
but we do have a legend within our mix. David Isaacson, he is a legend.
Yeah, he is.
Liam is quite close.
Liam
if
is
not
close, yeah.
Quite
there
close.
already.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we've sussed
I'll
out
stop
the,
there. For now.
Yeah, stop that.
I don't want to be accused of leaving anyone
Yeah, no,
out.
this office politics might get you into trouble.
And also, maybe someone like Brabongs, Pongan Magasela.
Yes, definitely.
You
You
can
know,
say that
this
because of
legendary
longevity.
status has to go with age.
And longevity, you know.
And longevity.
And the consistency
And
as
consistent.
well.
That's why I'm talking about this 10 years. If I can
Yeah.
do it for 10 years more, then, yeah.
Maybe.
You know, the interesting part about me and coming back to ride football, I think I came back 8 or 7 years ago. The young guys were there. They were quite shocked. And some of them, they were asking themselves, why am I doing this thing? Because I had done other things. I'd become an editor of a newspaper, and they didn't understand.
Yeah.
But I always understood, because the reason why I got into journalism was only one reason.
Which is?
Not because I grew up reading books and newspapers and all that.
Yeah.
No, I was not so privileged. I didn't grow up in a family of people who went to school, who would have so many books around the house. That's why I've always struggling with the language, English especially. I'm still struggling even today. The only reason I went to doing journalism is football.
Sure.
Because I grew up playing football on the streets.
Nice. What position? He
I
claims to be
I
part of
dreamt
the
to be a
engine.
footballer myself, but my family never allowed me to play football at a younger age on the street. Now when I hear people talking about
What
the
position were you
importance,
playing in the street?
I was an
Let's say?
attacker most of the time.
Yeah, right.
Attacking midfielder or a striker. Yeah, yeah. So that's the reason why I got into journalism. I wanted to be closer to
And who are your
to
star
footballers.
players?
Hey, there are so many.
You're gonna
I
have
grew
to
up
go back,
supporting.
Yeah, just a little bit. Just who are your top three, maybe, that you really looked up to and
I
loved?
grew up supporting Moraga Swallows,
Yeah.
but I was changed later by my brother to support another Soweto Giant club. I won't mention now
I wonder which one
because
it is.
of many reasons. But AC Mnini was my biggest hero because he played for Moraga Swallows.
Yeah.
My biggest ever star until today, I've never seen anything like this, Patrick Eastwellen. Yeah. Yeah, Eastwellen was something else. And I still want to read even more about Eastwellen, what he did overseas, because he was respected even there. Yeah. Pity that in South Africa we don't write about our footballers and document history in a proper way.
We need to, and we're talking about it, influencer, in our past few episodes, and it's something that needs to be done. So Mahlatse Mphahlele's favorite football story is that of when Roger Tumba joined, of course, Mamelodi Sundowns, and how he was
I've heard that
tested.
story.
You heard that story? Clearly, he tells me the story almost, I don't know, every month. Once you all go to story,
No,
I
it
mean,
was-
what impressed you when you got into the industry and you heard and you thought, oh, man, this is what I will also be telling my kids, great-grandkids, a story that stands out for you.
Hey, there are so many stories.
Just one.
There are so many stories. There was one that I was involved with at the Sunday Times that I wrote with Homoto Mokwena in around 2004-05. It involved the refereeing in South Africa, Operation Trouble Story, the corruption that was there at the time.
Yeah.
I enjoyed writing that story. Obviously, we were helped by a lot of people who were very good in investigating things like that. It was a big story. But another big story that happened around that time was the tragic passing away of Leslie Manyathela. I thought it was a huge story. What a talent he was. He was really a slow poison. He earned that name in a big way. A very good striker.
Yeah.
There are so many other stories.
All right.
We'll
take
just
those top
two.
two.
For now, yeah.
All right. So it's a Derby 2.0. The return is coming up
Reloaded.
this week. Huh? I didn't hear that.
Reloaded.
Reloaded. Yes, 100%. We're looking forward to it. It's the Nedbank Cup final. We are at Moses Mabhida Stadium. And I mean, you talk about strikers and, of course, slow poison. And one thing that you have to note, I think, particularly in the previous derby in the league, is that there were shots, but they were not all clinical. They were not all taken, especially when you look into the Orlando Pirates side where they had plethora of chances. They was just not converting them. That easily, that score could have been 5-1, 4-1 if all the chances were converted. Now, going into this one, maybe let's first talk about those chances that Pirates had in the league. And really, I think, for me, the biggest thing, Jose Riveiro and how he improves players. Because you look at Nkota now, he's improving game by game, which I'm so impressed by him. Amakhosi as well. So talk to us about Riveiro as the coach at Orlando Pirates.
Yeah, he's done extremely well for a coach who came here.
And you guys called him a plumber.
Some of us, I always restrain myself in doing those things because you never know. And we can't really judge a book by its cover. He has really done very well. I'm not sure why he's actually leaving. Maybe it's because of family, because I feel it's unfinished business, especially with the Champions League, especially with the Betway Premiership. Yeah, he's done very well in terms of winning all those domestic cups and the fact that he will be gunning for the 6th one this coming weekend.
Yeah.
But I feel, I'm sure also you'll feel that maybe he feels he will never achieve what Sundowns are doing in terms of winning the league every season. Maybe that's why he's running away. I don't know. Or because with Sundowns, it's very difficult to compete with them, especially with the power that they have in terms of acquiring each and every player that they want, not
For
just
sure.
locally, but anywhere.
Yeah.
So you can't compare the depth. But what he has achieved with the little that he has, I mean, he was counting 6 players after the derby that he played, the players that are young. But he's a very good coach in terms of giving those youngsters a chance and confidence and trust, which is something that is contrary to what is happening at Chiefs. I feel at Chiefs, with Nabi, whoever is recruiting coaches as Chiefs is not doing a proper job.
Sure.
I think they should have known what they are getting. Nabi is not the coach for Kaizer Chiefs. He's not a coach to build a team from scratch. He will never succeed in doing that. He's a coach for a ready-made team. Maybe at Sundowns he would have done well, but not at Chiefs where he has to build from scratch. And I don't think he's a coach who's detailed as Riveiro. Riveiro might have done well at Chiefs, in my opinion. Look at the fact that the Chiefs disc team has just won the championship there.
Yeah.
But there's not even a single player that Nabi has
brought up.
Yeah. I mean,
So,
even Fabian McCarthy's son. I think that boy is better than Kunika and
Yes.
Simangwe and whatever they have there.
Yeah.
You know? But
I
there's
think
no
he's a misfit. for
Misfit
Chiefs.
for
Yeah,
Chiefs.
that's-
Okay.
That's how I read it.
All right. There, you've got your headline, Mahlatse Mphahlele. But influencer.
He will write it
he will
himself.
write it himself.
No, in fact, I've had too many fights with Nabi. Even today, I wrote something that I don't think he will be happy about.
Yeah.
About his process that he keep telling us about. I said that process has no progress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The definition of the word process, it means you are doing something that will give you some progress. But at Chiefs, there's no progress. So in his process, there's no progress.
So you mentioned fights. So you get feedback about the articles that you write.
Yeah, you fight, you get fights even in press
it's
conference
always
when
like
you
that.
ask questions.
Yeah.
This guy, he thinks we provoke him. We don't provoke him.
Yeah.
We want answers for Chiefs fans, for everyone in football. We don't fight coaches. We just want proper answers, honest answers. And when we ask him, is he fit to continue?
Yeah.
It's because in our minds, we feel like this guy should be going to Kaizer really, to say, Kaizer, I know that I still have a year to go, but honestly, looking at what I'm doing now, what I've achieved so far,
Yeah.
I've achieved nothing. And I don't think I will. So let me go.
So carrying on with that reasoning, Sazi, then would you say the players at Kaizer Chiefs, because they've also been questioned to say that they're not Kaizer Chiefs material. So do you then say that it's not the players currently, it's the technical bench?
Also in my story today, I mentioned that the issue of the players. You know, Nabi had time in Turkey. You saw those videos when he was doing
Cooking, eh?
people jumping, some got injured, Robert got injured, he just came in. Now, so he had proper time to evaluate the squad and make changes. Yeah, as a big coach that he is, he should have told the club right at that time
Yeah.
that, hey, guys, this is not what I can work with. I need players. And if the club says, no, we can't, then he leaves at that time. Because as a coach, I think you can foresee the problems.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should. And then he had January also. He had time to buy players. The only good player that he bought was Lilepo. Okay, maybe Tele too.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the rest really, no. So he has had time. There's no excuse for him for the results that he is getting. And I don't know why so many players get injured under him. What are they actually doing there? That's a question mark.
I guess everybody must question the conditioning coach as well.
What is
and,
happening
and,
there?
The
So
physical.
almost the whole of defense is injured. I mean,
I've said it the year before and I'll say it again. More than half of the players that are at that club don't deserve to be there.
Yeah, no, you've been saying that since last year, I'm sure now. But I mean, influencer, when you then flip the script and we look into the Orlando Pirates camp, I mean, starting off, I asked Sazi in terms of now the improvement that Jose does. You look at Akash Makaula, the fact that he's not a moving six, but he will sit behind the press, which I think is quite impressive because Jose understands the kind of players that he is. And I think that's the big thing with Jose. He understands the caliber of players that he has and he uses them to their strength. I mentioned Kota, how he also improves. Rile as well. I mean, you're seeing him as a 10 as well, but we do know that he's generally good on the left. But he's learning how to play, of course, at the 10. So talk to us about the improvement of players because I think that's the biggest compliment to a coach. Yes, the accolades are there, but when you leave a player better than you found them, I think that's good on you.
Yeah, if in around the world, if you speak to coaches, like top coaches, if you ask them one by one, which coach do they like? 9 out of 10 will say Marcelo Bielsa, the Argentinian guy.
Yeah.
And for one simple reason only. I think the guy has been coaching for almost 50 years now. I don't think he has never won a trophy. But he says his trophy is to improve players. And he does that. If he goes to a club, at least he will take one player to the national team. He's a guy who's pretty much been credited as having revolutionized coaching with the likes of Marcelo Lippi and all those Italian guys there. A very, very good coach who pays attention to details. Not so long ago he was at Leeds. He promoted Leeds and he turned that club around. It's a similar thing that Rivera has done at Pirates. A classic example is Saling. When Rivera got to Pirates, Saling was just this player who just runs around. He was at Swallows. You didn't know what he was doing there. But he improved him, Mahopa. Mahopa was discovered late, and he went to that system at Baroka where I don't think too much coaching was happening there, and Kholoko. But when he went to Pirates, you could see he was also reluctant to introduce him early because he was working on him. So that's the one thing that this guy has done. I also remember we spoke to the chairman at one of these functions, and we asked him about the guy, and he spoke so eloquently about how he's a quiet person. There's no too much noise around him. He's a very detailed person, and that also you can see by the Pirates run in the Champions League. If you had a clumsy coach with a little bit of experience that they had, they didn't have enough experience to compete in the Champions League. And if you have a coach like that, somebody who's really calm and they know what they're doing, and also he's a very, very good coach. Football is about coaching, it's about football. If you focus on those kinds of things, you can do well. And also, he likes young players. Makuluku just said now, Pirates finished the match against Chiefs with 6 teenagers. It doesn't happen that much. Really also, there's been a revelation under him, Nkota is coming through. It's just that here and there maybe there's been issues, but Makhahleni speak about him. For me, this season has been the best player for Pirates. I know a lot of people will have a different view about this thing.
And we'll talk about that. We'll get to talk about the player of the season.
Maybe before you talk about anything, when you talk about Rivera, he should be the one who's telling us about the process. And the progress out of that process.
Yes.
Because if you remember the first season he played it in Champions League. The first time he went to the Champions League. And they played Joining.
They were knocked out in the
They were
preliminaries.
defeated by Joining. You know the reason why they were defeated? Pirates there, I mean, with due respect to all the other people in the technical team, they never did a proper assessment of Joining. And Rivera, you can't blame him because he didn't know anything about Champions League. But to see that there was progress, you can judge by the fact that now they were in the semi-finals. They, if I'm not mistaken, they played against the same Joining.
Yeah, I think,
This is it.
Yeah.
And they managed to beat them.
I mean, they won away.
So there's progress in this process.
Not this thing of
This thing of the process that we actually don't know where it's going.
You're fighting for top 8 to know what is happening.
I mean, these guys are left with 2 matches in the season. They may not make it to the top 8.
They might. No. In fact,
And I can tell you now, they'll probably lose to Skukune.
I mean, Skukune beat Pirates, Tinkler's cookie, that's it.
So I mean, coming back to the Pirates coach, I think the guy deserves respect. But obviously, the one thing that he will look back with a little bit of regret will be the fact that he never really had a proper go at Sundowns in the league. I mean, when all is said and done, really, if you're a coach or a player, your grandchildren are going to ask you how many league titles have you won, and unfortunately he leaves not having. Well, it is still mathematically possible, but I think it's unlikely. But I mean, he's somebody who must be respected. I was happy with what Al-Ahly did with the coach when he left. He left in a very good way. There was a big hooah. There was a big send-off. He was given the respect that he did because he won 2 titles with that, 2 Champions Leagues with that team. Not this thing of just letting people go without really honoring them. And I think the players now it's up to them to really give him this Nedbank. Because the other thing you must remember, if they don't win Nedbank, they don't win the league, this whole final dance thing is going to end up as a mess. Because when they announced they were still in 3, they still had a chance to win 3. Champions League, the league, and Nedbank. So it will be really leave a sour taste in the mouth if he were to leave without having won anything. After having made such a big mess about it. But it's been good for the club. The fans will remember him for a very long time.
Definitely.
No, I mean, if you've got also former players, legends who respect you, the likes of Lucky Lehwati, you speak to Happy Jele, and they all have such fond love. I mean, Majens, he's been here, spoken so well about Jose Riveiro. So that clearly shows that he has done something right. But now when we quickly profile Sazi, this Soweto derby where you will be going to, Mahlatse will be watching it on the screens there.
I thought I was going.
No, I'm going home. I have to go home.
you can watch it on the TV for us. Keep us updated.
You can tweet.
You can tweet, actually. But, I mean,
I'm going to the office. They must cancel that ticket.
talk to us about the game that we should expect. I mean, when we look into the league encounter, the previous derby, one thing that I loved about it is that no one was playing for a draw. The intensity was high, and it was a game of two halves, really. Chiefs did try in the first half, just, of course, their typical mistakes. So now going into this one, what are your expectations and some possible changes?
There might be some changes, especially with Chiefs in defense. You know, the central pairing of Kunika and Dover, I don't think it works. I don't think it will ever work.
Said, yo, my guy.
Cross has never convinced me at left back. So even Solomon, even though Solomon did well with that first goal, that Maisie run was amazing. Right at the start, you know, he did so well.
Yeah.
But that was the only thing that he did. The whole of Chiefs, even the goalkeeper Bavuma, I don't think they've given that guy from TS Galaxy
A chance.
a chance, a proper chance.
Ntwari, yes.
I feel Ntwari might be slightly better than Bavuma, quite honestly.
Really?
Yes, but
Sure.
he's not been given a chance. I don't know. That's another problem with Nabi. Details again, you know? Yeah.
So you're expecting that back line
Yeah.
to be modified. You're expecting changes there.
I'm expecting changes. With the Derby and Cup finals, you know, I can't sit here and say Paris will win.
Yeah.
Anything can happen. Look at what happened with Sundowns and Chiefs.
Yeah.
We never knew that Chiefs.
Pirates and
You know,
Sundowns.
sometimes these games they just decided on emotions and how you take your chances on the day. You know, so it should be expected that Chiefs can win the match. But the tragedy about that is that it's going to give Nabi a chance to say, I deserve another chance. Personally, I don't think he does. For the club, for the sake of the club, not just for me personally.
Yeah.
I have nothing to do with whether he is a coach or he's not a coach next season.
Yeah.
But I feel Chiefs need a coach who's going to evaluate everything there, take serious the team, the youngsters that are coming up in development, pick those that are ready. Look at what Pirates are doing.
You know, Sazi, I've asked this question in terms of a local on the technical bench that supports, because you see it everywhere. I mean, you see it at Mahlatse Sundowns, at Orlando Pirates. You always have a local that will support the coach. Do you think that that is also a contributing factor for Chiefs?
Definitely. But a local must not just be there because he's a local. He must influence. Personally, I feel a person like Atazwane was not supposed to be shipped off to Amazon. I mean, that guy has stayed there, Chiefs, for years. He knows the club inside out. Those people we should keep, because they keep the culture and everything of the club. They know everything about the club. So even if he's not a head coach, he should be there to help whoever is a head coach to understand what it means to be a Chiefs coach, a Chiefs player, everything. I think Chiefs have lost a lot of those people who can actually help tell the current players what it means to wear that jersey. Because some of these players who are playing for Chiefs, you know, I was telling my other colleague the other day that we go to Naturena almost every week, whether they have lost or won. And the mood there is always the same. It's a jovial mood.
Really?
Whether they won or they lost. No, that can't be correct for a club that is struggling, for a club that is struggling to be in the top 8, for a club that
when
has
they
not
walk
won
from that thing
a trophy in 10 years. I mean, it can't be. There should be someone who's saying, this is Chiefs.
Guys.
This is the club of Ace Toleng, Teenage Jala, Malombo Lichamba, even Kaizer Chiefs. You respect all those people.
Sure.
Max Maponyan, I mean, those people, Shane McGregor, Dr. Kumar.
Can't be happy all the time, man.
Siki Mu. I mean, all those guys, we still remember them because I mean, Gardner's, yeah.
Yeah, I was just talking to him now.
Yeah,
I mean,
they
he
are.
says
Yeah,
that.
I mean,
He says in one of the stories that
Yeah.
he says one of the after training,
yeah.
TimesLIVE had a shirt like this. People were throwing money.
Yes,
in his face.
I saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how you know.
Yeah.
This was people won't even throw
Are
a
you
cent at them.
crying again?
These ones won't even throw a cent at them.
Oh, man, no.
But I mean, influencer, when you talk about then changes in the Chiefs side, you look at the fact that Ulilepo in the league derby, he was used as a striker, which I found also quite interesting. Talk to us about then also, of course, Ulilepo and other players who could be influential for Kaizer Chiefs.
Yeah, maybe starting from the back to add to what Makulukulu was saying. Obviously, they will have to change somewhere at the back because of the red card. But I think Miguel will have to come back.
Yeah.
As to who he's going to partner there, I don't know. But I feel maybe he will have to partner Kunika Central. Simango go, Dove go left. I don't know right what they're going to do. Maybe Solomons or what, I just don't know. Kele will have to come back in the midfield. I don't know.
Where's River Forza?
Maybe he's injured because I don't think he was even on the bench on Saturday.
Yeah, he was not.
Kele will have to come back in the midfield and solidify there. I don't know who will be the victim. Maybe Gosipile Ngobo will have to go out, then to find the right balance. But the other important thing is that Lilepo must continue to play central. I think he can do well as a number 9.
Yeah.
But also, if you put Lilepo as a number 9, then it means the system will have to change a little bit because then he's going to need the service of the crosses to finish there. So they will have to find a way as to how they plan for this. But also, the Chiefs fans don't like this helicopter stuff. They say it's haram football. They want they want the nice things. But in the cup final, do you go for the nice playing stuff or you want to do it? Sundowns tried to do it in Bloemfontein. We know what do we know now. You know, so final are there to be won. You don't go to a final to mess around and stuff. So it's details again as we speak. They'll have to really sit and detail this thing. And the other key thing, Makulukulu, is that Pirates are already in Durban from yesterday.
Yeah.
They are going to stay there.
Yeah.
If I was Chiefs, I'll be on a flight now going to Durban to set up camp. Yes. You need to be there to also sort of, I know they go there quite often, but just for the occasion, for the week, spend time there, prepare there, acclimatize to the conditions. And that it may look insignificant, but it's very, very important. You had sea level there, your altitude, those things work. Fitness people will, those aspects will tell you. That's what you have to do. I think the sooner they leave, the better for them. You know, so that's going to be key for them.
Yeah. You know what I find interesting, Sazi? When you both are looking for options as to who do they play, you guys are not coming up with names, and it's a worry because when you speak about depth, Mamelodi Sundowns will have the depth. When you look into an Orlando Pirates side, you know that who are the possible impact players that will come off the bench. Yeah. So now Kaizer Chiefs not having a bench is a concern for me.
Yeah, people are injured there. You don't know why. I'm talking about Rip Forster now. We should be playing that number 2.
Yeah.
Lilepo's decision on Saturday was brilliant, but it was also a decision that was delayed for me. He should have been playing number 9 for a long time.
Yeah.
Not just there in the derby because now we are desperate to win a match. But he did well.
He did.
And there's a guy who's been scoring goals. He's got 4 goals now in the league. I mean, he's just signed for Chiefs in January. He's the best player for Chiefs for now. Yeah. But he needs a lot of support. Unfortunately, we are struggling with people who can support him.
All right, let's move to then the opposing side, that being Orlando Pirates. We do know that CBC, of course, got a red card midweek that led to Clauiee then starting in the league, so it's a derby. So now going into, of course, the Nedbank Cup, so it's a derby. Does then a CBC return? Does a Clauiee start? How do you see that backline for Orlando Pirates?
You know, Rivera is a bit spoiled for choice. He can keep BC on the bench if he wants. He can play Clauiee if he wants. Mbegezeli, you can't take out Mbegezeli. You can't take out the TLB out. I mean,
No, TLB must stay.
I mean, he's there. So, I mean, anyone between Koge and CBC will play. But CBC has been playing a lot of games. Maybe you will prefer him.
Indulge me about Hotto. What have you made of Hotto? Because there's a mixed feeling about Hotto. I mean, some fans are not too pleased about him, saying no, going football IQ. He works hard.
For me, in Ngwenya, maybe people they misunderstand him. I would also put him in the mix for a player of the season.
Really?
You know, because there are not so many players like Hotto in our league. A player who can play almost everywhere, and he does well. I mean, look at what he did in the derby. That goal of Mofokeng was Hotto. You don't know where he plays. He will come at right, at left. And how many games he has played. And how old he is. You know, that guy is a proper professional footballer. Yeah. So he will also make a huge difference in the final.
All right.
Hotto. So for me, he's one of the best players that Pirates have. And Rivera knows how to play him. You know.
Understanding your players,
Yeah.
which is quite key.
Yeah.
Influencer on your side, I mean, we know the Pirates fine, but how are you expecting them to show up on this one? And I think also what's key, when you look into the goal that Orlando Pirates conceded was Koki's movement. And a lot of people might blame Usipo Chayina here, but I think at some point Umblokile on Sipo way, then he couldn't see that now it came as a shock. But I mean, Sipo has been consistent for Orlando Pirates.
Yeah, Sipo has been consistent. That's why now he's sort of perceived as the Bafana number 2 almost. But going back to the balance, one thing that surprised me on Saturday was Shandu. So I think maybe, I don't know, Shandu starting. That was a bit of a surprise for me.
Maybe Van Rooyen is injured.
Maybe if because of Van Rooyen is injured, that's a miss for them because Van Rooyen has been solid. But other than that, I mean, you know what you get from Pirates.
Yeah.
We can set the team now. Chiefs also knows that. They know what is going to come. The changes will probably be if maybe say Van Rooyen is fit, then he will take his place. Now there's even more good headache for the coach that CBC will be back at the back. You know, he will have to see how he balances the central defense. In the middle, it's pretty much the same up front. He prefers Makgopa over Mabasa, unless if he wants to do that surprise element. But it will probably be the same. I don't think they will have to change too much. The team has been playing, obviously. By the time this show comes out, they would have played against Golden Arrows. We don't know what's going to be happening in terms of injuries and stuff. That can be the only thing that will sort of disrupt them. But if there are no injuries from the Tuesday match against Golden Arrows, and then they should be fine. They are a settled side, and you know, I don't expect too many changes from them. The changes will have to come from Chiefs.
All right, so the gentleman here, especially influencer, touched on, of course, then the player of the season, the nomination, the conversation still going on. I've been having this conversation almost every 2 days now, and it's not always an agreement. I don't know how it is on your side, but I don't always agree with my friends. I'll start with you, Sazi, because I already know he's top 3. Who, I mean, you mentioned Hotto now, but I mean, who else is on your list?
Okay, I don't think anyone can say I'm wrong if I say Lucas Ribeiro of Sundowns. For me, is still my number 1. I don't think it will change.
You guys agreed there.
Yeah. Okay, Hotto, 2, maybe number 2. But there's also another player at Sundowns whose goal contribution in his first season at Sundowns is quite remarkable. Reynolds.
Sure.
He's got 11 goals. I think he's got 9 assists.
Yeah.
I mean, that's 20 goal contributions in your first season at Sundowns. I think he's also there at the top. But Ribeiro, for me, even though maybe people can argue in the last 2-3 games he has not been that top and
He's
scoring
been
goals.
used
But
differently, though. That's the thing I've picked up with him in the past few games. He hasn't been playing in the usual pockets that where we always see him, and I think that's now because of the inclusion of Sales, where
Yeah.
now he needs to make space for him. So I think they need to kind of stabilize that
Yeah.
because the Riveiro that we all fell in love with is what's essential.
Yeah.
Influencer on your side. I know Riveiro as well is your number one, but who's your two? and three?
Yeah, I think also just to maybe start off by saying, I don't think there's been a player who has been consistent right through. Obviously, Riveiro started the season very well. He was on fire. I mean, I remember that goal he scored against Chiefs at Moripe.
yeah,
You know, there he was on the top of his game there.
Yeah.
He has gone off the boil a bit, but you know that happens, as you say. Maybe as the coach changed things around a little bit as to how they play and all that, and also let's not forget these guys have played a lot of football. There's a lot of traveling and stuff. He's a human being, and maybe fatigue can creep in and all those kinds of things. But he has been the standard performer. He will be my number one. My number two, I'll go with Reyners. As Makulukulu has indicated, just by sheer number of goal contributions.
Yeah.
And this is a guy who is not even a regular player for Sundowns. He comes in and comes out, and because there's Shalulile, there's Sales, there's Riveiro, depending on how they use Riveiro. Sometimes he's been used as a false nine and all those things.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of competition for starting places for attackers at Sundowns, and you know he's not guaranteed to start. But whenever he comes on, he delivers the goods. Number three, I've been extremely impressed with Mahlatse at Pirates.
Okay.
He's a guy who, if you don't look at Pirates very closely, you don't see him. But most of the stuff that happens there, he's a cleaner. He cleans up after everybody, and also he plays that role of being sort of the buffer between the defense and the midfield. And also sometimes he covers when talent goes do the number 8 stuff, box to box. He sits. He provides the right balance with Hoto and Van Rooyen sometimes. When if needs be that he must come back, especially in dead ball situations where Koki and CBC goes to add the height in the box. He sits with the two wingers, so he plays a very critical role. If he finds himself on the side of the opposition, also he's got a shot on him. He doesn't score much goals, but that's not his job. So he gives them a nice balance, more like Tabes at Sundowns. Not quite the same in terms of quality, but he plays that role very well.
and at his age,
At this age also,
Yeah.
I know a lot of people will say, we'll talk about Relay, but maybe Relay needs a separate discussion on his own because I just feel that he has not done enough this season.
consistent,
He
What
has
did
not.
you say?
consistency
Consistency.
in the league
Yeah.
in particular. Maybe in the Champions League.
Yeah, in the
The
Champions League he's done well,
Champions
but
League
I mean, you know, it's just the truth really. He doesn't. He has not done well.
He's a player for the big occasions.
Yeah.
He scored in the derby. He scored a winner.
Against
Remember
Sundowns.
that winner in the Nedbank Cup final last season?
And
2
Rugby
goals
Stadium.
against Sundowns.
Yes,
Yeah.
2 goals this season against Sundowns. So, yeah,
Big player, big matches.
he's a big
But,
player for the big matches.
Coach Pizzo will say, I want you against Magezi here, or Barumo Gallants, or Golden Arrows, give me a goal there. Yeah.
But you know, just to wrap this conversation up, in terms of your players of the season, they come from Mahlatse Sundowns and Orlando Pirates. So I want to find out from you who had points aside and leave the fact that who's leading the log and who might win, but who has played better football between the two clubs this season?
Better football.
Better football.
Yeah. The Sundowns.
Sundowns for you.
Yeah, Sundowns, because Sundowns, they do this thing that Paris has struggled with Riveiro in the past 3 years, that of making sure that you don't lose a game against Sekhukhune. You don't lose a game against Arrows suddenly or Makesi. Sundowns, they beat everyone anytime. I mean, they will get a loss there, maybe once in a while against TS Galaxy, but
Yeah.
they will consistently play same football and get the same results.
All right.
Yeah.
Influencer, I'm sure you've got the same opinion.
Yeah. Just to add also, obviously, admittedly, the Sundowns hasn't played as to the level that they played under Coach Rivera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why the fans have been a little bit unhappy with this new coach, but he's getting the results. Remember, the first few matches he was winning 1-0, 1-0, 1-0, 1-0. People were saying, hey, maybe we've got a problem here. But with experience, and also he's a guy who, more like Riveiro, very, very focused, hard work. He needs the best for his players.
Details.
Paying attention to detail. And he's got a team around him, people who make sure that he gets everything he wants. I guess the football, the Sundowns football, the piano and shusha and stuff, it will come. For now, it was just to get used to a new league, get used to new players,
For sure.
push in the Champions League, because that's the big fish. That's what they want. And, you know, yeah, but as Makulukulu is saying, you know, you really have to show up at every match. And, you know, I mean, it's a proven thing in a league format that, you know, Sundowns, Coach Pijo says that you don't have to beat Chiefs to win the league. You can lose to the big teams and beat the rest, and then you'll still be a crowned champion. So that's what they've done. But Pirates have also played some good football at times. You know, the atmosphere at Orlando Stadium when they are buzzing is something that you don't find anywhere in South Africa. So, yeah, I think they've been the two best teams in the league.
All right, Mamelodi Sundowns, CAF Champions League, should they be given that week off? Because that's also been the cry that they feel that they should be given time to prepare for the CAF Champions League final.
Yeah, because there's a problem with that game of the 24th, on the same day where they are playing the Champions League final. I don't know how they are going to solve that one. But you would feel they should be given some time off. But I don't know. But also for Sundowns, really, Sundowns, a lot of people don't actually realize. Sundowns, they've never asked for a postponement of the Champions League matches, because the players are used to playing like that. But I'm sure maybe the fitness people and the coach will prefer an extra day or two, just to be with the players on the training pitch and do the other things that they need to do. I really don't know how they're going to get around it, because they're playing. We're shooting today on a Tuesday. They're playing on Saturday. They
play Wednesday, then they play.
Then there's traveling also to go to Egypt and all the stuff on the 1st of next month. So it's a bit tricky, but I think they will prefer a day or two extra, because they need to start well at home, get something at home, and go finish the job there.
And we'll definitely talk about that closer to time. Quickly, while on the player of the season, before we wrap it up, Kaizer Chiefs of Skakuna, where do you put him this season in terms of accolades and the performance that he's had?
He's up there, Kaizer. He's done very, very well. I mean, he's been a very big influencer of the results for Sekhukhune.
100%.
Yeah, how many assists he's got, crosses, and even goals. Yeah, and I like what Coach Eric Tinkler was saying after they won against Pries. He said he has seen some improvement in terms. He's matured. He is taking his football seriously than he actually was before.
For sure.
Yeah, that's very good for a player to actually improve his game. But there's another player that people have been mentioning quite a lot. Is a goalkeeper. Chipazeze of Amakhosi. They said Amakhosi
must be the goalkeeper of the season.
Yeah, he should be given that. He's done very well to help Owen Dagama's team to actually get away from the relegation. Yeah, because when Clinton Larson left, everyone was saying, this relegation for sure. But yeah, no, they've done very well with Chipazeze.
The other player who people are not talking much about is that Titus from Stellenbosch. He's done very well. Thabo Molesane also.
Yes.
That team is a very, very organized team, and they every season they just keep on, producing standout players. It's a consistent team.
Yeah.
They've got a good coach, and everything is all right. On Mahalo is probably the biggest disappointment from that crop of young players that came under Coach Pitso. But it's good now that he's taking it seriously. He was in that group with the late Madisha, Nicolis, and them. It's a pity that you know, the overhyping things got to his head a little bit. But it's nice that he's back now. And he's playing, you know, so we'll see how it goes. And for Sundowns also, there's a lot of players out on loan. I don't know what they are going to do when those players come back. Lochi must come back, Mbule must come back. I hear he's doing his own things there, this Mbule. He will never make it at Saros with his coach.
No,
just no way.
never.
All right,
you know,
so let's wrap it up. I want to quickly find out from you guys, Cape Town City, a team where you look at on paper and you think, no man, these players that they have, these are stars, and we could name them all, but where are they getting it wrong?
Yeah, you know, with the PSL, it's tricky, very tricky. If you don't start well in the first 10 matches, 15 matches, then no matter how good you are, then you're going to have problems. Look at SuperSport. They will survive, but they struggled. Cape Town City is even worse. Those two teams, they're not used to be fighting relegation. They are always a top 8 teams. But they didn't start well. But they should be good enough. I've already heard the coach now saying they are already preparing for the relegation promotion playoffs.
Sure.
Yeah, that's how bad the situation is. They should be good enough to win those playoffs and not get relegated. Luckily, they had this issue of Royal AM saving them, because we don't know if Royal AM was there. They were not going to go
They'll
straight
probably be relegated
down,
to be
you know?
bottom.
Yeah.
And when they go to those playoffs, you mustn't play this PSL football there. I think it's very-
What must you play, my guy?
Oh, there you
must grind,
haram. There you helicopter stuff there.
Yeah.
If you're going to do these things, I forget it there.
Yeah, I
You
know.
know, so they must watch a lot of NFT matches, especially the Black Leopards and Orbit and those teams that are there.
Yeah.
They must start profiling them now, because that's what you're going to find when you get there. It's not easy there. And the problem for SuperSport, they are going to lose that Ime Ogon to Tembisa.
Hey, yeah, no, big statements, but that's how we wrap up the
But
Arena
they'll
Sports
make a
Show.
bit of money. 20 million.
Yeah.
I'm told they are very serious about the boy.
Yeah, no, 100%. We're hoping you enjoyed this episode as much as we did. We'll leave it here. Enjoy the Soweto derby. We'll definitely catch up after that. And of course, the encounters right in between. Cheaper will be playing Mamelodi Sundowns on Wednesday. So hopefully you enjoy that as well. So we'll see you on the flip side. Cheers. Goodbye.
Ciao.
Yes.